All right, guys, welcome to Brew Bits. It is Friday at 5, as always. We're here to bring you the latest in brewing news, brewing events, beer, and anything else we feel like talking about. Episode 3, Unfiltered and Unbleeped, is going to be a good one today. We got some call-ins. Ben Little from Manor Hill Brewing is going to be joining us here in a little bit. We're going to discuss some topics of news. It's been a weird week in the brew world. And, of course,
we want to thank our sponsors.
That we
First,
do.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Only at your local B-Dubs in Frederick, Urbana, Rockville, Gaithersburg, and Columbia. Wings, beer, sports. You have to be here. Thank you, B-Dubs, for sponsoring us. I know we have some fun things to talk about with Ben, but first I wanted to get that question of the day out there. So we have a full hour for people to get their answers in this time. And I think this one could get a little
I think this
crazy.
one could get borderline career damaging.
X-rated.
X-rated.
Illegal.
We won't tell your ball stuff.
Yeah, we ain't gonna snitch
That's
on
what
nobody.
we said at the brewery this morning. This could go.
Snitches get stitches.
This could go two ways. the first way is the real answer.
Yeah, obviously.
And
Don't give the real answer at all.
No. That will get you in trouble with HR. And then the second answer is just something like, "Oh, I would go to like Wall Street and listen in," or something. Like, nobody's gonna take that over what they could really get away with. But the question of the day: if you were invisible for 24 hours, what would you do? What would you do in that 24 hours? Anything. No one can see you.
So keep them like short but sweet, but as graphic as you can. And we're gonna pick a winner at the end of this show. So just go on Facebook Live and start nailing them down. I'm sure there's going to be some good ones come banging in, so we'll try and review them as the show goes through, and we'll pick a winner at the end, and we'll have a prize by then.
Yeah, are we doing the growler from?
Do that at a live show.
We're doing that at the live show.
live show.
Okay.
We'll do a free month of Soldier Fit. There you go.
Okay.
And then you'll give them something from Flying Dog.
Yeah, I'll find something. There's some really new,
Give them a new shirt.
really cool new Maryland shirts with the bat wings, so
Yeah.
we can do that. Glad we planned this out really well, Solomon.
We planned out the prize
Next week we'll
amazingly.
do better. And
This is like the sickest one to win, too,
Yeah.
because it's going to be a
This is.
gnarly
It
one
could,
to
I
test
hope.
it.
I just can't wait to read all the answers. So that'll be good.
I'm sure Anarchy can donate some hops, too, to the winner. So.
The hot. So
Yeah.
only if they're one brewer. We didn't
Only
even
if
pick
they're
one
one.
last week until afterwards, which was CJ.
Josh. Josh Clark won
Oh yeah.
the Flying Dog University.
That's right,
He
yeah.
he stayed at the farm last night with him and a buddy.
Wow.
And me and my wife walked down like this morning. We're coming back from feeding pigs, and I'm like driving through. I'm all, hey, there's a fucking car. I'm like, oh shit, Josh stayed here. And it was like fucking 33 degrees last night.
Oh yeah.
And
It
he
definitely-
walked out
Oh,
and he
you
was
guys are
all,
way out there.
I was like, so it's a little chilly? He was like, yeah, it's good, we made it. But they had a good time. And we got, he brewed a wild farm yeast last time we had our Labor Day party down there. And it's going to be ready in like 2 weeks. It's going to be ready for carb. So he gave me like 6 bottles. So we'll bring it in
Yeah, definitely.
and drink it here in the next week or two.
Does he have a distillery too? Does
Yeah,
he distill?
yeah, he does all kinds of stuff up there in Morgantown.
That's crazy. What?
Great guy.
Yeah, I know our brewmaster now, newly named brewmaster Ben Clark, because Matt
Yeah.
Brophy got moved up to COO. He makes everything, literally everything, and he's like the best chef, and he knows how. I'm like, how? I don't have those taste buds. I'll never have them. And I think I do pretty well. Like I can pick things out, but like it's insane what these
Different
guys
breed.
can do. Yeah, different breed, definitely. Definitely. So there's been some topics in the news this week.
There have been buyouts, mergers.
Let's talk
Lots
about
of
the biggest
Bloomberg.
one. Yeah, Bloomberg news.
This is the most
just
exciting
in.
kind of
This just
friggin'
in.
news in the world, let me tell you.
Yeah, so why don't you tell them about the big one?
So the big one was that InBev and Sab Miller completed the deal. So they are...
Back up before you start and just tell them like what AB InBev is and what SAB Miller is, because I don't know if
InBev is like Budweiser Busch, which they merged back in the day, and now we have the biggest one, and you hear InBev all the time buying up smaller craft breweries, so they're building their portfolio. I mean, these guys are coming out and spending millions to literal billions of dollars acquiring breweries. And then, of course, Sab Miller is another one of the pinnacles there,
Right.
and the original 3 that kind of ran brewing from post-prohibition till now. It's what you see on your TV screen and what you see during the halftime shows and stuff like that. So these mergers are just crazy to see, because you start to see this industry just like they starting to realize maybe there's a pyramid of power or something, where if they just get everyone together, they will have enough to start really going out and taking big chunks out of this craft market. And that's not to say they're like taking chunks and shutting people down. We're not gonna.
But they're also making more craft beer or
Yeah.
buying more craft breweries.
Exactly, and they're
to get
seeing
a part of that market.
Yeah, they're seeing the real value in the craft market, and seeing that is the market trend, and it really is. I mean, you know, you could resort to like this Stone news of the week, which is they're laying off people, but if you read into the Stone Brewery's layoffs, it's not really because Stone's going out of business at all. And the fact is that at the end of that Stone article, it's so cool to see what they're doing to that 5%. They're giving them 2 weeks of like paid job training, and then plus putting them in front of other breweries and stuff like that. So I mean that 5%. A lot of people kind of saw that headline, I think, and were like,
What?
"Oh God, Stone's just pissing everybody off." But I think that those.
I'm happy to see that though
Those
with Greg
come back.
Cook, because he historically has not been the nicest person. I mean, he's always been nice to his employees.
Yeah.
But I mean, that goes back to arrogant bastard.
Yeah.
Like he wants that
he's the
persona.
epitome. Yeah.
But no, when you do read into it, it's not as bad as it sounds. So,
No, not at all.
But
What
going back
about-
to AB
Go back.
InBev, SAB Miller. I think Brewers' biggest concern with that is the distribution network that
Right.
Budweiser and Miller Coors already own.
Right.
So I feel
So
like
tell me more about that, because you're the pro.
So there's a 3-tier system in the United States and in many places where breweries sell their beer to distributors, who then sell to retailers, to all of our accounts, who then in turn sell to customers.
Middleman.
So there's a middleman, and most of these middlemen are owned by Budweiser and Miller Coors. There are craft-only distributors, but they're few and far between. And I know as Budweiser is, I'm just gonna keep saying AB because I just don't. I mean,
It's all
it is,
good.
but
I don't like
it's Budweiser. But so AB acquires these craft breweries like Devil's Backbone, Elysian, whoever else, and they make them a priority in their distribution network.
Right.
So maybe some other craft breweries could be left behind because of that. So when these sales reps from these distributors are going to see Tom at the liquor store, he's the beer buyer, they're pulling their portfolio out, and some of these craft brewers that aren't part of the AB network are kind of pushed to that back page.
Right, because it has a lot to do with shelf space now, too.
Correct.
I mean, you go in, I know you can go into pretty much any liquor store now, and shelf space is a key. I mean, you go in there, and if they're working with somebody, then that's who gets the shelf space. You're not going to see your local guy down the street unless they're distributed through a certain network. And I know that a lot of times I'll ask for certain beers, and my plain and simple answer is our distributor doesn't carry. Not I can't get it. It's just the ease of working with that, relative middleman that a lot of, it's kind of been for most liquor stores. I mean, they wouldn't even really know how to go about that.
Right, and then, I mean, grocery stores are a whole nother animal. We're not used to them here in Maryland, but there's grocery stores that literally have distributors that are set captains, and they change their sets twice a year. And the set captains, it's like, oh, well, they have an AB set captain. It's like,
Yeah, shit.
all right. Well, I mean, there's ways to work with them, and there's ways to, if your beer's good, it's going to be on the shelf. If your beer sells, it's going to be on the shelf. But it's always it's a little more tough
Right.
dealing with through AB.
Well, it's hard to break through to that next level too if you can't get shelf space or picked up. I mean, you can be a really good brewery. I mean, I know some that are just hole in the walls that are freaking amazing, and they just have never made that next step or break. So.
Yeah, I mean, getting in with a good or the right distribution network for your brand is definitely key. I know when Flying Dog started, we went out like a mile wide and an inch deep, and anybody who had like a cart and a horse were like, yes, please take our beer and sell it for us because we don't. Yeah. And we've really backed up over the years, and a lot of breweries are doing this because everybody's on that local kick, and it's not a kick. I don't think it's here to stay because of the way the economy's going, and so everybody kind of pulled back and really focused on their home area. So now we're selling as much beer in between New York and North Carolina more. We're selling more beer from New York to North Carolina than we were in 47 states 5 years ago.
Right.
So it's just getting in with the right distribution network and working with them correctly. But I mean, it takes a long time, and you have to really know your brand and figure that out. But yeah. So the other one was Kieran.
Dude, Kieran.
Brooklyn.
Out
Kieran.
of left field. I did not see that
I
coming
sent it to
at
Solomon.
all.
I was like, what? What is this? What does this even mean? What are they doing?
Yeah.
But there's an article. So Brooklyn Brewery from New York, they do about like 275,000 barrels a year. So a good size, bigger than Flying Dog. They make great beer.
Like
the brewery was started by Steve Hindy.
Maybe?
I'm sorry.
They're up there.
They're
not
12. They're 12.
Oh, are they?
Mm-hmm. They're 12. 12th largest craft beer or craft brewery in America. So Steve Hindy, great guy, started this brewery. So smart. Just love his books. Pick him up. He knows a lot. And then you have Garrett Oliver, that's definitely their front man, and he's always doing cooking with beer and pairings with beer and writing books, and they're just really at the forefront of the craft movement. Yeah. So then when I see this headline that they sold a small stake to Kieran Brewery in Japan,
literally a quarter.
I'm like, why did you do that? Like, just seriously trying to get myself together about so I can read this article. I mean, so turns out they're actually pretty smart.
No, really smart.
Super smart, which I knew. I was like, oh, thank God. They only sold 24.5% of their business to Kieran.
Bloomberg said 25, and I was like, no.
Because if it's a quarter, you can't have full.
Yeah, you
so
can't have full.
They still have full operation of their brewery. They're in charge. And it seems that they are going to be starting something in Japan with Kieran in the future.
Yeah,
so that could be. I'm so interested to see what that'll be. It didn't really say, but
Kieran just bought up like another Japanese brand, like Yoho Brewing, which is a craft brewery over there. And they said in one, that might have been the Bloomberg article. Shit, I can't keep them together now. But they said that in that one, what they had planned to do was open up tasting rooms in Japan now with Yoho and that, and like as a offset of Kieran. So I don't know the length in that or anything, but because they tried to reach out. I know they're big in Brazil, like Brazil and Japan were like their big kind of like forefront. So it'll be interesting to see what this move does to their relationship down in Brazil. But
it's funny which craft brands catch on where, because I know we've been in Europe for 8 years now, and I mean, East IPA is one of the biggest beers over there. I know they have a lot of different tax laws that make that 4.7 super attractive on the shelf too, but they do drink a lot of it. So Europe, and then for us, the Chinese market. We just started in the Chinese market, and they have really embraced our brand. And so we start getting these phone calls and emails from our distributor saying, like, you need to trademark your brand right away. I'm like, why is it that big? We're just doing it now in the U.S. with like our bat wings and stuff. It can't be that big a deal. And no, they're gonna just start manufacturing all this Flying Dog stuff if you don't and just selling it and making money off the brand. I'm thinking, like look at the cartoons on that. Like they're gonna be making stuffed pigs. They're gonna be doing like everything. Like we better get on this. Like it's just funny which brands, which markets really take a hold of and really love. I know that American craft beers have had a leg up with that just because of all the experimentation with hops and just being super aggressive with experimentation. So, are we almost ready to call Ben?
We're about to call Ben here for a sec. So let me get him on the line. We'll do a little one-liner here and get Ben Little on the phone from Manor Hill. Talk some shit.
So, Buffalo Wild Wings, best seat in the house promotion every Monday starting now through December 19th. Come out for the Monday night football game and get your chance to be picked up in a limo, brought to Buffalo Wild Wings the following Monday night football game with $100 in free food and your chance to win one of 3 grand prizes at the finale on December 19th. Only at your local B-Dubs in Frederick, Urbana, Rockville, Gaithersburg, and Columbia. Wings, Beer, Sports, you have to be here.
All right, so we're going to work this out. This might be, we're going to have to get some feedback from the people online to see how this phone call sounds. We're going to hit up Ben real quick. Now, Ben is the head brewer at Manor Hill, which is down our way. Probably one of my top 5 breweries that is within a drive for us.
He does a great job. I mean, he used to work for a Flying Dog. I don't know if anybody knows that.
What's up, buddy?
Yo, what's happening?
Not a whole lot,
Hi,
man. How
man.
you doing?
Hey.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Yeah, we're on speaker. We're trying to work it out here, Ben, but we'll see.
All right, just let me know.
So what's going on at Manor Hill lately?
A whole lot. Expansion. We just got 5 new fermenters in, another big tank in, so we're getting that up and running next week, and just trying to crank everything out and keep up with demand.
Oh, that's awesome. How many barrels do you think you guys will do this year? I know you guys are growing like crazy from year one.
Yeah, we'll end up producing, by the end of the month, we'll be producing at about a 4,500 barrel a year rate.
That's awesome.
I think we'll get just around 2,000 in for this year, because we went through our second or third expansion this year alone. We've only been going for strong for about 16 months now, and started out right around the 1,000, 1,200 barrel mark. So
Wow.
growing pretty quick.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So where are you headed right now?
I'm actually somewhere in St. Mary's County. I have no clue what's going on at this point, but yeah, down here for a couple days.
Nice. I wanted to call you out on that because we've all been
I was
picking
bummed
on
that you
each
weren't
other.
going to actually be here. And then
I didn't know
Solomon
I was
told me that you had to go
expected to be
somewhere
there.
with your girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, fine. I guess I
Sorry.
get it. It's
Sorry.
cool. It's cool.
My
So-
bad on that one. I don't know how these things work, so.
No, it's okay. We'll have you on again where you can come in the studio with us. But
Yeah, I definitely want to get down there and check things out and hang out with you guys for sure. Bring some
Definitely.
beer, all that good stuff.
so have you guys been doing anything unfiltered lately that you want to talk about?
That's kind of all we do.
Yeah.
It's kind of who we are, from the farm base of things. It's like we want stuff as, as it's intended. And I think a lot of times, what's going on in the industry today, I think there's a big push towards that. It's better beer, it's better product. So we want to be on top of that and definitely be, in the front. I think it fits what we do as a farm, too. So
Right.
I think it's a fantastic thing. And
Do you ever
I hope
worry
more
about
people get on.
stability? How do you guys take care of stability of the beer?
So, yeah, stability is a big concern, but that's more of a concern for people who are really looking to distribute beer far and wide. With us being, again, I'm going to always say the farm thing because that's it's so near and dear to me in terms of what we're doing and who we are. We want to be hyper local. We want to be the freshest possible, and we don't want to make beer that travels. So we'll never outstep the bounds of where the beer can go. So we want the beer to be, in high condition when it hits the consumer's hands at every point. So, it's the same thing with finding the right partners at retail and the right partners in bars and making sure that people understand what we are and what we're trying to do. And those people who get on board with us, we always make sure we take care of them. And, it's just a beautiful relationship with that side of things. And, again, the consumer, people are drinking, are getting the freshest beer possible that way.
All right. No, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, heck yeah. So Ben, let's reverse a little bit because I want to catch a lot of our viewers really don't know even when you say unfiltered beer. They're probably sitting here just kind of wondering. So we try and baby step through some of these processes with people because a lot of our listeners might not even be craft drinkers and stuff like that. And we just want to catch them up to speed. So if you could break it down to us the best way just to be explain to us what goes into an unfiltered beer and how that is different than,
or what's not done to it.
Yeah, or what's not done to
Yeah.
it that is, something you'll find, on the shelf from Colorado or something like that.
Yeah. So if you think about it, all the beer starts out in the same way. And I'm not quite even sure when it started happening, but, we eat with our eyes. And it's the same way we drink with our eyes. And filtration basically takes the beer, takes the sediment, takes the yeast, takes whatever goodness that's in there. But to get that out, it's also filtering to a level to get some of the goodness out. With us being more hop forward, a lot of the characteristics that come along with those beers, characteristics will get stripped out a little bit through filtration. Some of the good yeasty flavor, that'll get stripped out through filtration, and it's just there to actually make a more presentable product to your eyes. And as Heather said, it does add stability to the process as well. So if it's somebody who's looking to ship their beer, overseas, if someone's looking to ship their beer, across the country, there's a stability factor that needs to be there, and that beer needs to present itself on the shelf the same as it does in their backyard. But again, it strips out a lot of good flavors. So you look at a beer like a German Hefeweizen or a Belgian Wit, which have yeast intact and it's meant and it's accepted in the style, and people expect it to be hazy, people expect it to be cloudy, and that's the expectation that comes with those styles. But a lot of other beer styles, IPAs, Pilsners, etc., those beers are expected to be, somewhat crystal clear in a lot of ways, and that's it's something that's built over time. And in my estimation, for what we're trying to do, it doesn't need to be there. We're trying to get, as raw and in your face with that beer as possible, and not strip anything out, and basically have that beer as it's intended to be, which will leave it hazy, leave it cloudy, leave it murky at some points, just depending on what we're trying to do.
Right. So how does that play into, I know some of the folks on here that are beer enthusiasts might know about like your Hopyard Series and stuff like that. So how do those flavors play into those series that have to do with actually the farm you guys are coming from, and how, either the yeast from the farm or the hops that are grown there, and that playing a factor? What stands you guys, like a little bit alone as far as realizing those things and bringing those to the consumer through the taste of the beer?
I think, again, like I said, our biggest thing is the majority of what we do is hop forward stuff. Right. We use some hops from our farm. We use some hops from all around the world, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, UK, US, just pretty much anywhere we can get what we're looking for in terms of the qualities of those. But we're also not just playing with those for bitterness or for what people call, people associate way too often hoppiness with bitterness. And we're looking for flavor. We're looking for aromatics. We're only looking for bitterness as a balance and not something that hangs on. So I think that's one thing that does set us apart. That's something that is more expensive to do because you have to use more hops late in the brewing process to get that. And we also play with how yeast works off of hops. So I think that's not something that's been done for too long in terms of that. You look at a lot of the guys who've been around a while, West Coast style IPAs, et cetera, that really focus on a clean yeast character. I think there's a lot of other yeast that exist out there that really can support the kind of fruity side, the tropical side, the stone fruit, peach, apricot kind of side of hops. You can play with some of that from the yeast and really work the hops off of it. So we're trying to, play with a lot of those brighter sides of hops and the aromatic sides of hops, and having yeast as a supporting role in it, which I don't think is something that has been done for a long time in terms of, IPAs, et cetera.
Right. Are you using anything in your grain bills that are adding to the haze and adding to the mouthfeel?
Sometimes, yeah. So we use a lot of oats. We use a lot of local wheat. Anything we can source locally, we're using. A lot of times what's coming out right now is stuff, I've got to go all the way down to Virginia and Copper Fox to get a lot of what I need. But there's some other guys popping up locally that we're able to get stuff from, and some raw wheat or some raw barley that we can use and stuff. But we're definitely using a lot of oats in our beer, a lot of flaked oats, a lot of flaked wheat, a lot of unmalted grains that definitely bring, some extra proteins and some extra haze, which brings that great mouthfeel to things and that great juice factor to things. Something we definitely focus on. We just want, we want to brew what we drink. So, the guys in the brewery, the girls in the brewery, we're drinking juicy, big tank IPAs that have this great tropical, fruity quality to them that finish out nice and clean. And, you know, you want to take another sip. If you buy a 6-pack of our beer, you're probably going to drink the whole 6-pack. And that could get you in trouble or could not, but that's what we're about.
No, that's what I look for, Ben.
That's what's up. But I mean, like, you know, sometimes I'll get in trouble with a 7% beer because it'll go down a little
absolutely.
easy. But
Gets the best of us.
if we're putting something in a package, whether it's a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans, you know, I want you to drink that whole thing at once and enjoy that whole experience. So that's kind of our goal at the end of the day, too. Again, it's got me in trouble a few times. I'm sure a few other people, but
never.
You know, it happens.
Would you consider any of your beers? I know it's not an official style as far as the Brewers Association sees it right now, but would you consider any of your beers to be Northeast IPAs or New England IPAs?
Yeah, I think we're trending in that kind of side of things. There's some other guys way up in New England doing things that are a little bit not as they're quite a bit more unfiltered than us, we'll say. You know, going into like murky and turbid and like looks like a milkshake. You know, which is cool, which is great. I mean, there's tons of different ways to get that. Some guys are using flour. Some guys are using way too many oats. They're just being used in suspension. They're playing with the water chemistry.
Back up to the flour thing really quick. Can you tell us how that... I've never done that. I've never seen it done. What does that exactly do to the beer? Is that, I mean, just causing haze? Does it change anything in the flavor? I would think that it would change in the mouthfeel because if you put... is it just thickening the beer? Because that's what you do when you're cooking with it. So just curious.
In a lot of ways, yes. So different people use it for different reasons. I don't want to go like too overly technical on this one, but yeah, a lot of people do it to make a turbid beer. They make it to look ugly. They make it, you know, give it some thick, juicy mouthfeel. But then sometimes, you know, in terms of the technical side of it, there's some things that we add, like oats, which can actually take away from the ability for to create good head retention in the beer. So some guys actually figured out is, you know, it's the best way to get foam back into things. So there's that. There's different reasons, and it's like a lot of people just jump on board because it's the only way they can figure out how to make the haze thick in a beer. But some people use it for really solid reasons. But you're going to find it all over the place, and, you know, no one will ever admit to it or admit to why they use it. But, yeah, it's definitely for a variety of reasons.
Okay. Speaking of admitting to things, so in a industry kind of led, if you're talking about hop-forward IPAs like Pliny and stuff like that, I run into a ton of brewers on the one side of the fence that say there's no way you could ever do it without using a lot of extracts, and then on the other side of the fence just saying over-hop the hell out of it. So where is your stance, or where is like Manor Hill's stance on that side of the table?
So we don't use a lot of hop extract. We use it very rarely. A lot of times it's a cost thing, or if people want kettle volume. So like Pliny specifically, he started doing that because he was over-hopping it so much where he was losing volume. So in order to get some volume back and make a few bucks, he switched over to hop extract. And you get consistency. You get some kettle volume out of that. And it's nice, but there's a specific flavor that comes with any hop extract that's different than pellets or leaves. I can always taste brewers that use it. But if you work that into your idea of a beer, then there's nothing wrong with it. I've definitely tasted some beers recently that, you know, I feel like, you know, they're just over-hopping for the sake of over-hopping. Some guys using 6 to 8 pounds per barrel of hops. And Jesus. I just start tasting like garden vegetables with that. So, you know, it's like, there's a really good beer hiding underneath here, but you over-hop the living hell out of it. It's like back when I was homebrewing, and I'm like, man, it'd be an awesome idea to put like 2 pounds of hops in a 5-gallon batch. And then it tasted like complete shit, and I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to do this again. So,
yeah, that's really hard to balance. And what's your yield like when you put that much stuff in your beer? Like, I mean, it's
nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah. It's not
nothing,
there.
So. But that's all mentality, you know. To each their own. You
What's
know,
your
the beauty about this is like we're all doing something different, and that's an awesome thing. And you know, everyone's going to kind of connect with something different, and that's what this whole industry is about. You know, you have so many choices. Those choices are growing every day. The quality is growing every day. So it's a great thing, man. It really is.
What is your favorite East Coast IPA right now? besides any
Besides
Manor
yours.
Hill product?
That's a tough one. I really like the Trillium stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's nice and hazy.
they're fantastic beers. There's a very similar quality of them. You can tell they keep the same kind of mindset in how they build their beer. But I'm fine with that. They're a little murkier than I typically go after, but I think they bring the balance factor in so much better than some of the other guys out there that just taste like straight juice and you don't have a whole lot going on except for just like drinking orange juice.
Right.
I don't find a lot of balance or like happiness in that kind of experience. But like I think Trillium gets that good balance factor in right, and I think those guys are really knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. I'm into Tired Hands right now. They're doing a good job.
We have a question for Ben.
Yep.
They've always been one of my biggest influences
I got it.
as a brewer. I think they've always been so creative, and they'll go way outside of the box to do something and miss sometimes, and I think that's an awesome thing too. Having the guts to really balls just to take and just be like, hey, I'm gonna do a dry hop goza on a bunch of watermelon rinds, and we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
And it was amazing,
Let's
But
see
then,
what
like, I was
ferments
up
in
there, but they've got this, like, giant concrete egg fermenter that's used in, like, the wine industry, and I had, like, the first beer that came out of that, and it tasted like concrete to me. It literally tastes like a sidewalk, So it's like, you're not going to hit it every time, but I love what they do in terms of, like, their experimentation and just their mindset of just, like, yeah, fuck it, we're just going to do what we want. They use a lot of local ingredients. They have a lot of really cool concepts. The Brussels sprout tacos up there are, like, the greatest thing I've ever had. They're just awesome.
Okay.
Great. I think we had a studio audience question here.
Yeah, so we basically throw out at the beginning of each show a question, and we pick a winner, but we always try to pose it to the guest too. So there's this guy at Flying Dog, and funny enough, his name's Chris Farley. So he poses the question every week. So the question of the week is, if you were invisible for 24 hours, what would you do? So
That's a great
two different people asked us that so far about you. So
Yeah. So, Ben.
so you're on the spot now.
I would fuck with people so bad, and it wouldn't
No.
just be anyone.
Absolutely.
I would just run around and just, like, literally just fuck with anyone I ran in contact with. Just, like, having fun. All good fun, but, like, whatever I could do, just, like, I try to do it anyways. I mean, it's pretty much what I do on a daily basis in the brewery. If you ask anyone who's there, it's like I'm constantly sneaking up on people, throwing shit at them and stuff like that. I just do the same thing, but to people I didn't know.
No way, not you. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell.
You don't know anything about that.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
So I want to tell the audience out there how we first met. So I was 16 years old, and I got a job when Sports Authority opened in Frederick. That is now shut down. So does that tell my age? No.
I don't know.
I know it just shut down.
I've
Ben.
never
It's a
even
really
heard
sad
about
day.
it. It's
I didn't even
old,
know it
so-
shut down.
Yeah.
That was every bit of, like, 15, 16, 17 years ago, by the way.
Yeah, so I go in for like my first day at work, and Ben's my first boss. He's like, "Were you the general manager?" Yeah, so like he does work with everybody all the time. So one of my first bosses. Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then worked at Flying Dog together for a little while, and now he's been doing amazing things with Manor Hill. So super proud to know you, Ben.
No, thank you. It's been all. We've crossed paths quite a few times over the years, and it's been always great. Like, I remember, like you said, I'm like shooting BB guns at you across the store, and I'm supposed to be your manager.
Yep. I'm telling. No. I never did. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you can come join us live sometime, or maybe one of our shows that we're going to do live at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we can get some Manor Hill beer there and talk more. But enjoy whatever you're doing down there.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what it is.
Same
Here.
here.
Whatever the hell you're into.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'm sorry for me fucking up and not realizing I'm supposed to be here.
No,
I'll come
no
out there
worries.
soon, and I'll bring some good beer, and we'll all drink some goodness.
No
Oh,
worries.
yeah, man. We'll be in touch. Well, I appreciate it, Ben. You have a good one.
Have a good
All
weekend.
right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Later, bro.
Yeah.
Ben's a good guy, and they are really doing some great things there.
Yeah.
The whole East Coast IPA movement is been really amazing, and you had touched on Pliny earlier, asking him about that beer, and it immediately made me think of Hetty Topper because Pliny is Pliny the Elder is made by Russian River. It's kind of has a cult following. People, I mean, it is so good. It's really good.
Yeah.
And they can't keep up. I mean, people will stand in line for this beer, will show up even if they know that there's one keg that night at a bar in Philly. They'll line around the block for it. So it's super good. And then all of a sudden the Alchemist comes.
Oh yeah.
And comes out and they have Heady Topper. And it's
Which
all I
is-
heard about.
It is so funny because I have like all these redneck buddies, and I remember they went up to Vermont.
You have redneck buddies?
Me? I got redneck buddies? I got lots of redneck buddies.
I don't.
So anyways, they all went up to Vermont to go snowmobiling like 3 years ago. Well, they hear this thing about like this beer, it's called Heady Topper, and these guys drink like Coors and like, you know, those beers.
Yes.
Anyways, won't go there.
Fine Pilsners.
Fine Pilsners. And each one of them gets a 4-pack, and they bring them down one night, and he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, man, come on over. We're going to have some beers. We brought these special beers back, man. You got to come." So I got there like a little bit late. Well, they all have like one Heady Topper left apiece out of a 4-pack, and they're all hammered. I mean, like, beyond hammered. There are snowmobiles out front doing burnouts on the blacktop. Like, it was one of those
It's
good
so
nights.
funny
It
when
was amazing.
I love my husband so much, but I'm gonna say this. Anyway, he's not watching. It's fine. He's like, "Oh, beer." Heather talks about that all the time. It is well known he's a Miller Lite drinker. He will drink. He loves Snake Dog. He loves Snake Dog. Out of
That's
all
a
the beers,
weird-
I know. He loves some of
Weird
our
transition.
beers. And we'll drink them, but if he has the choice, he will drink Miller Lite. But what I was gonna say, it's hilarious when these rednecks that we were speaking of have no idea, what the ABV is in a beer or what that even means or does to it.
No clue what it
And when I started dating my husband and introduced him to the world of craft beer, I had to explain that quickly. Like, that's a double dog. That's a double IPA. Like, that is literally like drinking
Do not
4
drink
Miller
all
Lights.
of those at
Yeah.
once, please.
Same thing with Raging Bitch. When that came out, it's so drinkable. It's
yeah.
such a drinkable beer.
Well, that's the funny thing.
We
Is
call
'cause
it getting
I'm
bitch
like
slapped.
the opposite way. So I take everybody out, and I'm like, "That's a barley wine. It is so good for you. It's like wine, but
You're
it's
just
beer."
mean.
Yeah.
But that's if you drink.
Like 3 later, they're just falling over.
You think you
loving
can drink like 6
everyone.
Raging Bitches because it's so delicious and drinkable,
Yeah.
and then the next morning you feel like
Oh yeah.
just so
Absolutely, yeah.
awful. We call it getting bitch slapped because it's just like out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
So we have these cult beers. We have Pliny the Elder from Russian River. We have Heady Topper from the Alchemist. This is not news. Everybody in the beer world knows about these things, but I think it's becoming more and more apparent that these newer breweries like the Alchemist and Tired Hands and Trillium and Manor Hill, I really think that they really want to make a good push to make the Northeast IPA or New England IPA a real style, because right now the Brewers Association does not
No.
accept it as a style. They accept it as a variation of a style.
And I think that they all have something kind of new there that they're all hitting on that I don't see. I'm not saying this isn't like an East Coast versus West Coast. We're not going to get into like a rap battle or anything.
Yes, we
But
are. I'm Biggie.
What? But I think so much that it is just a locational thing, because it's local, it's what you're dealing with. If you go to a lot of breweries around us, there's a lot of push for those things, whether it's a taste, like, you know, we know that taste because Vermont's right up there, and, you know, it's working its way down and stuff like that. But you go out, you know, to Sierra and stuff like that, and it's a different style, but also there's a ton of out there that we haven't tried. So I think that eventually it will start getting a lot more recognized as different styles as far as regions go, because I mean, it's like fried chicken or ribs. I mean, you can go and there's Texas ribs, There's Tennessee ribs,
Yeah,
North
I
Carolina
mean, if everybody's
ribs.
using local
You know,
ingredients,
yeah,
I agree with you.
It's a different taste. It's not like you can't make Texas ribs in North Carolina.
Well, that's why
It's just the taste is there.
the hoppy American IPAs originated in California.
Right.
Well, where's Sierra? It's in Chico, California, Northern California.
Exactly.
Where's Oregon? Right next door.
Right next door.
So somebody's like, hey, it's actually, there was, the USDA had a breeding program back in the 70s, and that's what, that program developed the Cascade. So Cascade is actually like the original HPC, like the original hybrid hop. And they were friends with Steve and Ken Grossman, and they're like, hey, you should use this. And they're like, oh, well, we should also bring back English dry hopping. So dry hopping, there's 2 times you can hop during the process, the full process. And one is during actual brewing, during the boil. You can put hops in there, and those hops impart taste in the beer. So the other time that you can put hops in the beer is during fermentation, or at the end of fermentation, and it's literally right in the top of those fermentation tanks. You're just dumping buckets in, and that's called dry hopping. Well, we didn't dry hop for like years after Prohibition went away.
Yeah, a long time.
And so Steve, Ken Grossman, Fritz Maytag at Anchor Steam, they decide they're going to start doing this again. And then you have this awesome Cascade hop. So they're putting these hops in the beer twice,
Which was like
in the
today's
boil,
Citra.
in the yeah.
They were like,
And so
"What?
people are
This is the
tasting this
shit."
beer like, what is that? Like
Oh, yeah.
now, like
Oh, yeah.
people that don't drink craft beer, you
Well,
give them a
it's a
heady topper,
grown-up
or you
thing,
give
yeah.
them a Pliny, or even a West Coast IPA by Green Flash. Green Flash is awesome. They do some really amazing
Oh,
things,
yeah.
but people are still kind of shying away from that. I don't even think West Coast IPA was recognized as a real style till 2010.
Yeah.
It's only been like
I
less
remember
than
being as a kid, and I mean like as a kid, sneaking out to like hippie festivals at like 11 or 12 and wondering like why everyone was drinking like Sierra Nevada and stuff, because that was like the only, at my time, I was a very young man, it's
Yeah.
like the only thing out, you know, at that time. And I remember being like, God, like what is this? And nowadays, to go back and drink that same beer, at 12, I was like, disgusting. I could drink Sierra Nevada now at 12 with this taste and be like, amazing, because I
Yeah.
could pick up on it. And I mean, I can pick up on the Sierra from out west, and I can pick up on the Sierra from the East
yeah.
Coast
There,
too.
I mean, there's water
there-
differences.
Yeah, there's
for
two
sure.
different beers there for sure. I mean, I say that with a lot of people that are moving their stuff to where they have 2 hub locations, one on the west and one on the east. You can taste the difference, and it's not a bad thing at all. There, you know, each one of those breweries, I think, that's doing it right is playing off of that, either water difference or
Oh,
hop
yeah.
difference, or you know what malts they're
Well,
using.
think
what
about if
local
you're
stuff.
in Denver, how many breweries are in Colorado? Well, how
Oh, yeah.
rocky is that area, and different types of mountains. So that's going to be like super high in minerals and different things that when you are getting water out of the ground here, it's not going to taste like that. Now, a lot of breweries have super amazing water filters that get all of that out, and that water is going to taste the same in both places. But we're talking about, you know, maybe the top 10%.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, these little guys starting out won't ever have
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah,
technology,
definitely.
but eventually they will. But yeah, so going back to these guys in California and how the craze got so out of control. So I'm wondering where East Coast IPAs will go, because West Coast IPAs it was like a pissing match. Well, mine's 75 IBUs. Well, mine's 85. Well, I made 195 last week. And it's like, dude, like, just, I don't care how many IBUs is in it. It's like reading the label on something to see how much salt's in it. It's like, you're either going to like it or you're not, because it's going to balance out with the rest of the stuff in it. So, palette wrecker from Green Flash. I think it's like 100 and something IBUs. And I love Green Flash and respect them so much. They make great beers. It's like a husband and wife started this brewery. They are just kind of cool California people. They just want to make good beer and hang out.
And it's good fucking beer.
Well,
I mean,
Palette
it
Wrecker is good, but it does just that. But also, so I read into it a little more, and I've been talking to Brophy about it some, and the human threshold to even taste IBUs is about like 110.
Yeah.
So this pissing match that got way out of control was for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to pick up anything past a certain
It's
point
like 110
at
or
all.
120. So it just, I don't know. So I'm wondering when the pissing match is going to start on the East Coast. Well, mine's hazier.
I don't
Well,
know.
my mouth feels better.
Dude, they've already had, God, I was reading an article. I was reading an article from punchdrink.com about milkshake IPAs.
Ugh.
Sounds horrible.
Dude, I know. It sounds absolutely disgusting.
Do you have some?
No, I wish I had some. If I had some, I'd be
Milkshake makes
pumped.
me puke in the yard.
But basically, it's just like an addition of lactose sugars.
Makes it
And I
super
mean-
sweet. Yeah,
and
the
I mean,
lactose
a
addition.
lot though. And who is the article about? God, I have to look back
Here,
here.
you
'cause
look
I
at that.
wasn't
I'm
thinking
gonna
about
thank
talking
Buffalo
about
Wild
this.
Wings really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Every Tuesday, get half-price traditional wings all day. Includes a ranch or blue cheese and celeries or carrots for free. Only at your local B-Dubs in Frederick, Urbana, Rockville, Gaithersburg, and Columbia. Wings, Beer, Sports. You have to be here.
We
And
were there
I-
last night and it was delicious.
Buffalo Wild Wings always
Makes
does a
me
good
happy.
job.
Their
Yeah.
Thai
Throw
curry
down,
wings
though.
Even when you
Are
have
amazing.
$500
Thai curry.
Oh,
Makes
Jesus.
makes your mouth feel better.
Makes my mouth feel better.
It makes the mouth feel better. Yes.
Funny thing is,
Those other things
tired
make me
hands
feel
again.
better.
What? It's in the,
Milkshake.
yeah, I mean, that's,
Dude,
it's like,
they're
it
on
sounds
it.
weird, but I want to try, I'm still going to try it.
Yeah.
It's like-
Why do you wish we had a fucking hot dog in your hand?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds weird, but I would still try it. We made milkshakes. There's certain beers, did a white peach saison not too long ago that we put in a blender with vanilla ice cream and some other stuff and just ate our adult milkshakes. That's one thing. I mean, the alcohol's
Yeah.
still in there.
Well, I mean, they're doing one like a zucchini bread milkshake, and going after it. But it's a guy from Tired Hands, and I think another brewery they're working on it together. And I don't know. I mean, it's things like that. Omnipolo.
But keep some
Sorry,
relevant.
guys, I'm ignorant about stuff like
No,
this.
I
I'm just
like
a country boy. But I think that those type of things coming in always remind us that there's another envelope to be pushed, another, kind of the thing that keeps us sitting here talking about just drinking. Like, I hate to word it this way, but if it was just Budweiser and Miller, this would be a
We would have
pretty
nothing to
boring
talk
ass
about.
show. So I think it's really cool to keep tabs on all these things, especially with guys like Ben, that are there really promoting a certain style or a certain craft of their own. You know what I mean?
No, I'm all for it. I think that, I didn't want to interrupt Ben while he was talking about, he's passionate about it, and he loves that they make unfiltered beers. That's how it's meant to be. Like Larry Bell, Bell's Brewery. Larry Bell is known for saying, if God wanted us to drink filtered beer, he wouldn't have given us livers.
Right.
Like, there's people that are that passionate about drinking unfiltered beer the way that it's meant to be, which is great, and I love unfiltered
Right.
beers. I mean, when he was even talking about Heffies and Wits, like, how many people drink Blue Moon? And
Yeah.
drink that, it's like their go-to when there's no other crafts. Like, hey, I'll drink it, yeah, let me put an orange in it. Like, people love it. But, no, I really admire those guys that stick their neck out and try these things. And like I said, the Northeast IPAs weren't even around until the last few years. So it's definitely developing. I'm excited to see where it goes. And these guys making milkshake beers and zucchini bread milkshake. I mean, I'll try it. Why not?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll
now
try it.
we're 26 years old this year, as far as Flying Dog is, and me. And so
Oh, yep. Me too.
we do make really crystal clean, crisp beers where we filter it. We have different filters. We have a DE filter that we actually use perlite in it, which is volcanic glass. Don't ask me how that actually filters
I was
beer.
just gonna
kind
ask
of,
you.
I kind of know. When I asked the guys I'm like, explain it to me like I'm your grandmother, like trying to figure out an iPad. Like, just break it down. And I don't feel like I can speak that intelligently about it to go into it. But then we also have a sheet filter
Yeah.
that gets like the
So
micro
what about
micro
what
out
about
of
like
it.
finnings and stuff?
Finnings.
Finnings, finnings. I mean,
I think we've used
Fish
them
guts?
before. Sometimes, yeah, they're fish guts. Well, that's
didn't know if you guys knew about that.
I mean, I'm not sure if we've ever used them, but and then there's diatomaceous earth, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like old.
Well, diatomaceous earth is like, here I go sound like a redneck again, but that's what I give my
Here it
chickens and my
is.
pigs.
Please tell me, Solomon.
But that's what I give my chickens and my pigs every morning with their feed is some of that. But you know, like Ben was saying, there's some of that. There's that other side of the
Well,
occult that is saying
it's not
well,
only-
wait, that's sucking out all the flavor. You know, that's
Are you poking
affecting
me?
the-
You're
I'm-
poking
I'm-
me.
I'm
So
just
there's
prodding you
one
along
reason.
here.
There's one reason. There is the reason of having stable beers, and by saying stable beers that aren't going to continue to ferment in the bottle because they still have all the stuff in it, all the sediments that weren't filtered out, and they can be gushers, and you're worried about the quality of the beer.
Right.
So yes, filtering all that stuff out definitely lowers the chance of any of that stuff happening. Then there's also the reason of flavor. Some people don't like a banana, a clove, a farmhouse, a funk, whatever in their beers. So you get a nice, crisp, clear IPA. And I enjoy those too.
Yep.
So there's people that enjoy both. And Ben Little does enjoy some of those beers too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I think he was making his point of they want to be uber local. They have no plans of going outside of this area, and because of the small area that they're working in, they can trust their beers being
Oh
unfiltered.
yeah.
So
Which is-
I mean, more
which
power
is
to
a
them.
lot
That's
of- yeah,
they
I
make
mean,
great
it's-
stuff. So
It's really a respectable thing to do because I know one of the first times I sat down with Ben, like his passion in that realistic local market, you know, where hey, yeah, I do want to get big. I do, you know, obviously I want to look out for my own. And I want to make this a living, but at the same time, I really, really want to keep this true to what we are and what we represent as a brewery, and I think that gotta respect it.
I do. I really, really do. Hey, Danny, did we get any good answers in?
You got actually several, but the problem is seeing them live.
Yeah, I've been trying to look on my phone here, but I haven't been able to.
I don't know why it does it to me. It doesn't let me go back through the thing and see what I'm doing. Somebody said stick a finger in someone's ass. That was odd. Let's see if I can
That would be a
Penny,
huge
that's the
waste.
one that you are gonna do, but don't need to tell us about because you could go to jail.
That's a huge waste of being invisible.
Yeah, I think I could do that on the regular.
You can feel y'all go stay. I don't even know what Lee said. I definitely SHABA Robert De Niro style every single person in the booty hole. I don't know what the fuck Shaba is.
Shaba. That's Shaba. It's what movie was that?
I don't know. It's,
Where he runs up behind everybody. He's all Shaba.
I don't know. Y'all
Thumbs him
watch
in the
weird
butthole.
stuff on Netflix out there on the farm. So I'm not
Well, it gets lonely out there
Tommy
on the
Wilkes
farm.
wants to toe the party with Rick James, bitch. Robert Reed is violent. I would go around and ghost slap everyone.
I thought we told him that he's not allowed to answer
He's not
anymore.
allowed to win shit. I don't know why he keeps doing it. Which is funny. Dylan said mushrooms, but I was like, you don't need to be invisible to do that.
You can pretend to be invisible when you're doing that.
No one knows what the hell a Shaba is, but
Shaba!
but she didn't.
There she
Apparently,
is.
There it is.
Solomon's wife knew exactly what it was.
All I'm going to say is that
I've never.
Solomon's sex life is a lot more exciting than the average bear.
Well,
See, look, Jeremiah just commented he knew.
you be getting Shaba.
So I pulled something a little special from the brewery today. It's not looking like hazy at all, but
Got a little haze in there.
a little bit. It's Berliner Weiss, so it's a traditional
God, I
German.
haven't seen that for.
I know, and so today knowing we were going to talk about unfiltered beers with Ben, I wanted to bring some and I realized we're not making in heat wheat anymore. So that Hefeweizen was out, which was a really good one. Definitely true to style and had a lot of banana and clove flavor in it, and a lot of sediment in there that added to the flavor. We don't make that anymore. Our summer seasonal Woody Creek White, we started making Numero Uno. So we've just evolved out of those.
Numero uno.
Oh, evolved out.
Evolved.
Evolved out.
We kind of evolved out
Like
of that.
past or like?
Well, I just feel like we're a hoppier brewery, so something like a Hefeweizen, like
Yeah.
it's sold, but
No,
it was
yeah.
like, hey, well,
Hefeweizen.
maybe we're gonna make something else. Yeah,
That's like
Heffy,
my most
a
favorite,
Heffy.
favorite word ever. I don't know why. it just sounds
Hefeweizen.
like violent.
Love Hefeweizen.
Violent
Sounds like a
sex
very
act.
angry
Hefeweizen.
German.
Alright, give me the Hefeweizen and your Hefeweizen.
No, German is a terrifying language sometimes.
So good.
It is terrifying. Like the words "I love you"
guys
in
are, like,
German.
speaking romantically.
No,
and
the
dark
words "I love
sex
you" in
and-
German are "Ich liebe dich," but if you yell at someone, it's like "Ich liebe dich." It's like
Liberty is what?
"I love you,"
Yeah, but you just
but if you yell it, it's like,
You're like vibrating a hut. She's like, I'm coming, husband, husband.
oh my god.
Not right now, husband. Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen. So yeah, that is one of our unfiltered beers. And I brought some Gonzo too. You can. It's 9.2. I don't really feel like I need to. There you go. Dive into that this early on a Friday. But Solomon doesn't care.
Someone asked me
And
what we're
it's
drinking.
such a dark beer. It's Gonzo Imperial Porter.
It is delicious.
It's dark as night. There's a lot of chocolate malt in there, so it's nice and dark and sweet, but actually a shit ton of hops. So that the finish is where you really get that kick in it. So I mean, even if you poured that, you wouldn't be able to tell it was easy
Nah, it's
because
too
it's
black.
such a dark beer. But
But that's another thing
I
too.
don't know the verbiage here. Like Chris Wedding's like the in heat, and then his next thing is never too early for Gonzo. Like I don't know if he's speaking. German.
Chris Wedding works
Never
in the
too
tap
early.
room at Flying Dog,
I know, but I don't know.
so he knows in heat wheat is our Hefeweizen. And
Danny
This
Wood.
still hasn't explained anything to me that he just
What's
said.
that one?
Never too early for
Is that
Gonzo and be in heat.
It's
Is
never
someone
too.
in heat at the
In
bottom?
heat wheat is the Hefeweizen we were talking
The
about.
Hefeweizen. Get the
Hefeweizen.
Hefeweizen. Who the window you wipe us? Who the wipe your windows? What?
So, anyways, guys, whoever's
I'm gonna
out
take-
there as well, if you guys are ever thinking about something that you want us to try on air or talk about or bullshit, always hit us up. We just started an Instagram page and Twitter at BrewBitsLive. You can email us brewbitslive@gmail with anything, topics. If you want to come in and talk, if you want us to come to your brewery and do a show, let us know. We'll try and work it out. And anything else that
If you want to correct us and call us idiots
Yeah,
on
if
anything,
you guys
please
wanna
do,
call
because
us
we
out,
want to call
do
ourselves
it on
out.
the thread, seriously. I mean, that's the coolest thing about this show is we're literally sitting back talking about what we love and what hopefully all of our listeners love. So we would love the feedback. We love new topics, anything like that, and we love drinking beer. So thanks for everybody listening.
Touche.
We're about to hop off here, so I just want to do a cheers real quick before we give our last one. We got our studio audience over here. Yeah, hear them out.
Cheers.
And we want to thank Ben for being on the show today. Other than that, episode 3 is a wrap. Thank you guys.
We just want to thank Buffalo Wild Wings really quick. We also have a live show on December 8th, 5
Completely
o'clock.
forgot about
It's
that.
a
We should
Thursday and not a
cheers to that.
Friday.
Son of a bitch.
So make sure you come out. It's the Buffalo Wild Wings in Frederick. We'll have a lot of awesome beers there with us. It'll be a lot of fun. Looking for great lunch specials? Go to B-Dubs for their fast break lunch with specials starting at just $6.79 only at your local B-Dubs in Frederick, Urbana, Rockville, Gaithersburg, and Columbia. Wings, Beer, Sports. You have to be here. I was going to say
Oh,
there because
there,
we're
here.
not there.
Too many beers.
You have to be here. That's all we got today. Thank you guys so much.